Appreciate sa yo café ko yo apami nou jodi. La te mouvi vale bien non nou ka konsipe mon evi. Pour nous connaître, pour meilleur fait pour nous tout ça bénéfice. For only wonders you done for us all, spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good thing that you done for God, that's what it is. We continue. We thanking you, brother.
Good morning, Dominica. Good morning, Eastern Caribbean. Welcome to another Creole Heartbeat edition. It's a wonderful Friday morning in the vicinity of the capital city, Roseau, and we are going to bring you a special program this morning as we dedicate one of our great Dominicans. We dedicate this program to one of our great Dominicans and a hero here in Dominica. He has been one who have really piloted the theatrical aspects of our life, documented, a painter, the first cultural officer of the cultural division. And we're going to dedicate this over to the late Dr. Alwyn Bully. As a matter of fact, there's a special foundation in his honor set up by his wife and several members of the People's Action Theater and several other interesting people. We will get a chance to talk to his wife, Anita Bully, in a while, and also Subas Esprit making his way onto the studios. But as a matter of fact, we have him online as he prepares to come down in the studios live. Subas, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Sakafet.
Wala ka chebe
Sakafet, gaso.
Tout bite bien pour mon bala.
Villa show, gaso.
Tous les
Meribo, Sabo.
Okay, as a matter of fact, as we speaking, Anita just make her way to the studio. But what is it like in the city? I mean, we have two cruise ships in the city, one in Fokole and one in the city, and I can imagine how bustling it is.
Yes, it is a busy morning. It's a normal busy Friday morning, but we like that. It brings a little bit of charm and luck, and of course some activity into the economy as well. So
absolutely, and we are expecting you to be here with us live. But give us some of your thoughts about Alwyn Bully, because we are going to be speaking to Anita shortly as she gets herself well organized. But some of your thoughts, and when you come back, we'll delve into the activities of the foundation.
Okay, great. Talk you soon.
Yes, go ahead. Okay, we seem to have lost somewhere along the line. Subas Esprit, are you there, Subas? Oh, we seem to have lost the Subas Esprit.
Yeah, no, I'm there.
Okay, perfect. So give us some of your thoughts about Alwyn Bully. I know you have worked close with him and for several decades. And we know he has gone to the wild beyond, but his contribution has been so much for Dominica. Your thoughts?
Yes, I mean, definitely. So we are actually going to be celebrating what would have been his 76th birthday next Saturday, 23rd. He was born on the 23rd of November in the community of Dominica. And so what we are doing is we are dedicating a night, especially for him, in his honor and his memories, focusing on his music this time, which is an unusual thing because most people know Alwyn as the playwright, film, a choreographer, painter, artist, carnival designer, but he was also a very prolific songwriter as well. And so he did some fantastic work on the music side of things. And so we're going to be featuring a number of his top songs, and that is going to be a night to remember. This is the big show of the end of 2024.
Okay, Subas, we'll give you an opportunity to take your breath, get your breath together, and then we will await you at the studios while we actually deal with Anita here. Good morning to you, Anita.
Morning.
And Sakafet, how are you, Anita?
Well, a little breathless because getting here, as you know, is a task normally,
Yes.
but with the boats in, it's just
Yes.
totally ridiculous.
On a Friday, I normally try to get into the city by 10:15,
Yeah.
and try to secure a parking, and then walk to the
Yes.
various areas of what I do normally, and try to get here for at least by 10:30. But that's how it is normally. And when the cruise ships are in port, it's also more difficult. But how are things progressing? We just heard from Sobers about this staging of the legendary Echoes. And Sobers is right here now, and we are making way for Sobers Esprit, who's presently getting himself seated. But we're getting set, Anita, for this major production, the staging of the legendary Echoes. We are now in full force with the kind compliments of Digicel. Tell us a little more about, even before we go, I mean, you are the wife of this genius, the wife of this great Dominican. And some of your thoughts as you reflect on the work you have been with him, alongside him, worked with him for so long. Tell us some of your thoughts.
I mean, it has been a long ride from when I came back from university in 1975 to the present, starting off as stage manager of a number of productions. And then we got married a few years later in 1978. And of course, I would have to type all those songs,
Yeah,
and it's a good thing I'm a pack rat.
I know.
Because I've been finding some amazing stuff. I mean, he only have a few recorded plays of his, but he has a number of plays which he has written for both children and for adults. And of course, on his stint in Jamaica, he worked with Father Houlon and Friends.
Yes.
And was able to let his imagination just go. Okay, because anything he wanted, they would be able to get it done. And a typical example of that is when he was doing Moses, he says, Father, we have to part the Red Sea. Yeah. So Father said, Olvin, how are you going to do that? He said, don't worry, it will be done. And it was just amazing. I mean, the first performance was a children's performance. When the Red Sea parted, the children screamed for about 10 minutes because they couldn't believe they were seeing this kind of things being done on stage, you know. And he was just lucky to be surrounded by a set of other talented people who could make his vision come true.
But very importantly, he was also the first chief cultural officer and did so much for culture in Dominica, even before he migrated. And even, we know of his genius with the People's Action Theatre. But being the first chief cultural officer, he opened so many avenues, including the Comité pour Études Creole, which is presently, I think, over 40 years. And is the kind of unofficial policy makers of the Creole language in Dominica.
Yes, that's true. And then he set up different societies for dance, for drama, for music, for poetry. He had groups, literature. He had the Writers Guild created for Dominica. And he was able to bring in people. Not only would he think of creating it, he would bring in people who he knew could help it move, and let that the organization also be a help for them in the publishing of their work.
And so, but even with, and when he came back to Dominica, he was ailing, but he continued to assist. He continued to be in several organizations, assisting people. And this was tremendous. I remember the last I think it was you, Anita, who told me about the paintings on the bayfront.
Yes.
And he appreciated so much. But he continued to be involved, in whatever took place in Dominica in terms of cultural activities, cultural industries. I mean, so was this is a phenomenon, Dominican.
Yeah. So yeah, to join the conversation because I got to know Olvin, as I said to you last Tuesday night. It was about 1972. I was a student at the St. Mary's Academy, and I went to his art class. So I was one of his students at the grammar school.
Interestingly, you mentioned art class.
Yes.
What has happened to art?
Yeah.
As a class, as a
We can
subject?
talk about it another time.
I know, but
it's been taught in very few schools. Okay, I think DJS is still being taught. They had an art
I know
teacher,
the Goodwill
and the
Secondary.
Goodwill School had an art teacher who was migrated. So I don't know if he has been replaced. But there's the Waitikubuli Artists Association, which is a very vibrant association. So I think the schools now need to hire those people to come in and to teach art in the school.
I know Shadrach, but
Yes,
somebody I'm close to from his dad and all that, so I get to know Shadrach. So Shadrach is also doing art classes privately and otherwise. So
because this is so important to allow the young people to express.
You see the building next to Q95 building.
Yeah.
Building there.
Yeah.
We used to run art exhibition in that building.
This building.
Come sit there. Alwyn Paul.
That's Paul Toulon.
Ras Algie and those guys.
Mm.
And regular art exhibition used to happen there, right?
Yes,
there.
yes.
So let me just say, Alwyn was an institutional builder. He was a builder of institutions, and it decided to recount some of the institutions he created, starting with the Ministry of Culture, or the Department of Culture, which they just called. I think it's still called that. It's still a Department of Culture under the Ministry of Culture. But he said he also established several other institutions, both locally and regionally too, because Alwyn was part of TIE, the Theatre Information Exchange, which is a regional body of some of the leading theatre people in the Caribbean, and they were the top-notch theatre people in the region. He was also very instrumental in the development of Carrie Festa in the later stages, the recent stages. So he was truly an institutional builder for the arts and culture in Dominican and the Caribbean. But I think, importantly, Alwyn probably was the first Dominican among his peers who recognized the value of art and culture to the development of any nation, and in this case, our nation. And so that is why the insistence to have a department of culture in the government, because prior to 1978, there was no institution dealing specifically with the arts. So he began that process. And so what we now call creative industries or orange economy, he had that vision, 40, 50 years ago. And he started this process. And so people like me, I owe him a gratitude, because that's what I do now. I am a specialist in the orange economy, in the creative industry. And it's because of his inspiration and his support over those decades that I got to work with him.
Absolutely. And a foundation was set up after his passing, and you're undergoing several activities which we'll go into a little later. But this major production, the staging of the legendary Echoes, I think it is next weekend.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Okay, it's going to be a big thing. We have pulled together some of Dominican's singers, young singers, as well as top musicians, which are being led by Cornell Phillip. Okay, so Cornell has brought in some musicians, and we are in rehearsals now, and everybody's excited because they don't know Alwyn as a songwriter. And in those early days, the songs were mainly Creole songs. Yes. And I remember us taking a Creole play to Martinique. Wow. And they say, how can you do a classic Walcott in Creole? They said that has never been done before in Martinique. And it gave so much strength to the people who were pushing Creole in Martinique and Guadeloupe. It gave them a vision that it can be done, and they need to just pursue it.
An entire play in Creole.
He did two Walcott plays in Creole. Dream on Monkey Mountain, as we call Weber Simon Market, and Tisha Happy Forest, Tisha and his brothers. These are two classics.
Can you recall the years? Because we just want to make sure.
I don't have it.
Okay, but no problem. But just for history.
That would be the 80s.
Yes,
80s.
Yes, the mid-80s. Yeah.
So he didn't just establish, let's say, Keck, but he actually, was an advocate for the Creole language. He actually did writings in plays.
As I said, he was an institutional builder.
Yes.
And he also understood the value of art and culture. And foundational to all of that is language, is art. because there's no culture without arts.
Absolutely.
And so that was his pivotal moment in Dominica's history, in his contribution to Dominica's history and its development.
Okay, so then the sounds he wrote will be part of this major production next weekend.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the
Okay.
songs and who will be singing
All
and
right.
who will be
So
part of
we
this production.
have whole set of songs there. We have categorized them in two, in several categories. So we have the songs for children, and we have the children's choir from the Christian Union Primary School. Now, this is a school that is at Goodwill, and I introduced to Alwyn because he was still alive. And for the year before he died, the school visited him. And they were so amazed. They didn't know, a lot of them did not know he was still alive. Okay, and even some of the teachers did not know he was alive. So it was a great experience for them. And the following year, they did come back. So they will be doing two pieces, Happy Children, from a film he had done you all filmed that in Trafalgar. Okay, and then P.O.P.O., which is a theme song. We had a song in Dominica, traditional song, P.O.P.O. P.O.P.O. I tell my mother that though, and he created a song for
Someone you can't remember those days, man. So you created a song around that?
Yes, and then they put a play. Because that musical was done for
son.
Yeah.
And he had the son also that he named Pio.
Oh, wow.
We were rehearsing P.O.P.O. when I was pregnant.
Pregnant, okay.
So everybody just named him P.O.P.O.
So you had no choice.
So I had no choice. So what we did was get the names to fit the initials. Then we have his folk and Creole songs. They include Dominica Whitey Kubuli, which is being done by Janae Jackson, and Sweet Dominica. Then we have I Love You Like a Sugar Plum.
Yes.
Okay. Sister Ruth Singers had done a choral version of that. So this is being done by Kali Nextby. And then we have two Creole songs, Gadiaho and Mama Pa Plewe, which were written for plays he was taking to Martinique and Guadeloupe at the time.
Mama Paplewe, that's was done. Ophelia recorded it. Yes.
She changed some of the lyrics around, but I put back the original lyrics.
Okay, and Gade Aho also was recorded by Ophelia.
Yes.
Gade Aho, Gade Aba.
Yes. Okay.
So who will be doing those two songs?
These two songs, Gade Aho is being done by Shalina Samuel.
Shalina.
And Mama Pa Plewe by Mary Pascal.
Mary Pascal, excellent.
Okay. Then we have three selections of Christmas songs. Gloria is being done by Maxine and Esprit. The Magnificat by Mary Pascal, and Christmas Morning the Calypso in the Play by Ricardo Cognet.
So it's interesting to also note that these major sounds were part of plays before.
Yes.
Folk Nativity, I think that was the sound for the Gloria and the Magnificat.
Yes, for Folk Nativity, yes. And we have two calypsos in there. Wine Gina, which he wrote for...
Was it Wizard?
Wizard, yes. And One Nation, which he wrote for a CBU song contest, which was being held in Jamaica. Yes. And he played second in that. So that was a great song, yes. Then we have our social commentary songs from plays. And... two plays we're doing, Nightbox and The Ruler will be accompanied. These songs will be accompanied by the house band and a few members of Pan in Harmony. Great. Because Pan in Harmony has recorded those songs already. Excellent. And this is 56, which is being done by Black Diamond. And we have the theme song from Ruler is being done by Tasha P. Wow. And the theme song from Nightbox is being done by Shalina.
Wow. So really and truly, I mean, a star-studded...
Yeah. Yes,
continue.
Alwyn was amazing in that even if it was a serious play, he had to have music there. Yeah. Either the music before the play and after the play as the audience was leaving, or a theme song written for the play. But his sister Barbara is going to do the theme song from Belfanto, which is called Tell Me. And then the theme song from the movie Osei and the Masqueraders is being done by Maxine. And the theme song from Errol Jones's Moon on the Rainbow Shawl is being done by Carlin XP. And the theme song from One of Our Sons is missing by Tasha P.
Wow.
These two songs are very serious songs because they play deals with issues of communities in Trinidad. So the plays may have been written by different people, but when he produced the plays, he wrote songs for them. And we want to end with a band, so we're asking these singers to come back on with a finale of One Nation, and we're going to put like a special effect.
I mean, this is just excellent stuff, and I mean, what a way to remember the works of this historic and iconic figure. I mean, from Dominica, who did not even Dominica, but from the region. I mean, he was a regionalist. And tell us a little more in terms of the whole layout of the play and what can people
The production.
the production of the play.
And I must mention the band members because they have all agreed to come on. Some of them have worked with him before, and some new younger ones that are here there as well. They include, of course, Cornell is the band leader, also organist, Freddie Nicholas, Jerry Moulon, Michael Farrell on drums, Caleb Rodney, and Fernando Christian.
Yeah.
And they are just enjoying it because they never know. Because we have two keyboardists already. He was out of state, yes. And we have two keyboardists already. Yes. So they never knew that these kinds of songs were being written. Like the last rehearsal we had when Carlin did I Love You Like a Sugar Plum. I think everybody was there.
Yes.
But it's a beautiful song.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song.
And then unwritten in a play, it was just one verse and the chorus.
Yeah.
So Pearl, of course, Pearl worked with Baldwin a lot. We got Pearl to write two more verses, and it's really beautiful.
I am pretty excited about that, but I'm wondering in terms of the marketing and the promoting of something, I mean, unique like this. Yes.
And that is why we're appealing to the parents to bring your children. This is a show.
Tell us where.
And it's at the factory, which is on Valley Road, right opposite the gate of the gardens that leads to the health center.
Yes.
Okay.
The old Coca-Cola building. Yeah.
It's a new venue, a different venue. It offers a lot, and it's not going to be a standing show, it will be a seating show. So we're asking people to buy early bird tickets and on Sunday. So we want them to go in and buy their tickets. They will at Bullseye Pharmacy. They will be $75, and from there it goes up.
So $90.
And
then
at the gate is $100.
So of course, towards the good thing, go out, buy the tickets. And of course, there are limited space, because it's not a stadium. So we want you to go buy the tickets early and ensure that you have a space.
Will it be for the entire weekend or just for one night?
One night.
You'd be, let me tell you, putting on shows are not the easiest thing. The venues are not cheap. Okay? And then people are volunteering their time as singers and as musicians to come and assist us to put on that tribute. So you don't want to have them there and then limited audiences. So we're only doing it for one night.
How important is a tribute like that, Sobers, for one who has done so much for Dominic? And even on the other side, where people didn't even realize that he wrote so many...
Two things here. One is clearly it gives us an opportunity to continue to honor Alwyn and his legacy. That's one thing. And that is what you do for great people all over the world. You see it happen. But the second thing is that this show is a show of a difference. It's not your usual concert or jam session. We are highlighting the finest, the best in terms of voice, in terms of music, in terms of the talent, the musical talent of Dominica. And we think that the Dominican public needs to come out and support this exercise, this venture, but also to appreciate that the musical landscape in Dominica is huge, it's vast. So we have bouillon, we have reggae, we have calypso, we have calypso, we have some zouk, but we also have popular music that is fused with other genres. Whether in this case we have calypso, we have R&B and folk and so on.
Yeah.
So it's a vast landscape. So,
Also inclusive is steel pan. I mean, this is so important.
Because also all the work that the Department of Culture really promoted was the redevelopment of pan. Because if you know the history of pan, Dominica was one of the bastions of pan music in the Caribbean. I remember growing up as a kid in Maho and Massac, we used to have steel pans, and we used to play carnival with steel pans in our communities. I mean, obviously in Roseau, but in the communities. But that disappeared by the 70s.
Yeah, man, I remember Astocats, Chocolate County, this special steel.
But Halloween, one of the work that we did, in the late 80s, early 80s to mid 90s was to revive pan. In fact, I was involved in a project with the Department of Culture. We got support from UNESCO to create a steel pan program. We bought pans. It was used for training of generation of panists in Dominica. So he was also very much a lover and a connoisseur of pan. He was a pan aficionado. So it's good that we are actually having pan as part of this production as well.
Absolutely. Some of the other projects that the foundation is involved in.
We also have a carnival project coming on in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, we're losing our traditional carnival art. We are seeing.
I want us to do a series of this as soon as Christmas is over.
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are losing the art form, and the people doing it are mainly older generation, and we're on borrowed time, all of us. Okay, so we need to ensure that we train young persons in the Sensei art form. We did one project already, which was funded by Creative Caribbean, where we looked at the design of the costumes to make it lighter and more flexible. And we looked at mask making for the costume more because it's an African costume. So we brought in some trainers from Martinique to teach them mask making. So this is another project which we will bring to the schools. And we're just
the skill, the art of making sensei costumes.
Yes. And
this is so important.
Going to, our aim is at the end of the training, there will be a school band or school bands of children in sensei.
This is excellent stuff.
So our carnival arts is going to be an important part of the work of the foundation. And as Anita's intimated, we actually had a 10-day residency here in Dominica, which was facilitated by international and local experts in the making of traditional carnival costumes. Because, it's interesting, because we are now speaking about that, and countries across the region and internationally actually focusing a lot now on traditional masquerade forms, because it is a way to differentiate your carnival. Mm-hmm. So one of the most exciting carnivals in the Caribbean, interestingly, is Grenada. The jab.
The jab. And the jab is traditional.
And we used to have elements of that in Dominica.
It's similar to the devils, the black devils.
Yes, the black devils.
Yeah. But what they have done is to brand the carnival around that. It doesn't mean that they have a pretty mask. It doesn't mean that they have a soca. It doesn't mean that they have a calypso and pageant. But they have branded the carnival around the jab. And I think we can do the same thing. We can brand out, just like the Bahamas. When you talk about carnival and festivities in the Bahamas, you talk about jumping. We can do the same thing to brand our carnival around the sensei or the traditional carnival.
But I think I thought we did that already. So was Anita by naming it the real mass.
Yes, but it must be more than that. Must be more than that.
You cannot just have a carnival called the real mass and there are no traditional costumes on the road. It's not
in branding, you have to have brand identity and so on. So we must be. Although I see the DFT have been doing a lot more in the last couple of years to promote the sensei costume, But we need to see it be more identifiable with the carnival, with the mass in Dominica. So that's the first thing we have to do. So we need to rebrand the carnival around that. But that's our philosophy. That's our thinking.
No, but I agree with you so much as we discussed
I-
because there's a lovely activity. I think they held it at Point Michelle for 2 consecutive years. I think it is the Old Mass
Yes.
festival or
No,
carnival.
but that has been going on for the last 20 something years.
Yes,
you know.
no, but I mean they have it in a community
Yes.
now.
No, it's always been what they've done is they're doing it at Juve time.
Juve,
in
right.
the morning time.
Yeah.
But in the old days, what we used to do was have it in a community, but in the evening time. So we had Newton, we had Maho, we had St. Joseph, just all over the country.
But
So-
what concerns me is on the road,
We do not
the
see-
carnival
we don't see
Monday
enough of
and
it.
Tuesday, it is not prevalent.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is not. Sometimes, I mean, I've been covering carnival now for the last 17 years. It's almost non-existent.
Our thinking is that that's how you can do this thing, because again, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are countries in the Caribbean that are doing it. So you see what we did last year, a residency. The Bahamas doing those things regularly. They have artists in residence program all the time to work on jumping costumes. So what you have is artists and builders of the jumping costume. They go into a workshop, basically the workshop, so old mill or anywhere, and they work over a period of time. And what they do is they look at the costume again, they really look at the costume. What are the things that work? What are the things that are working? New innovations and so on. And so that's one of the things we would like to do is to support that kind of work across the country. So, for example, there are some strong points in Dominica. So you have Newton, you have Maho, you have St. Joseph, you have Duke Blanc, you have Pottersville.
Granby.
We know I come into Granby.
Portsmouth, Marigot. Sugar Fire.
Marigot, no.
No, they in
I thought
they used to
They
have.
used to have. But we can, in fact, have those places included.
The West Coast.
Strong points.
No, I think call you band movie. Yes.
And then, of course, South City Granby. You know, an interesting thing happened at the residency last year. We had a young man from Granby, right? And so the idea was, let's relook the costume, the what do we call how did the guy from New Orleans call it? The cloak or the coat? The coat. Because basically it's they build sensi on a coat, on a jacket.
That's in New Orleans.
No.
I mean,
So New Orleans they call it
the coat.
So they built around it. So the idea during the workshop was, let's see how we can make this thing lighter and more manageable and so on. And the guy from Granby was no, Bakafesa.
Original.
No, I put him Mayfair. And he stayed for the workshop. And today he's one of the movies. I mean, he is so much into it. I met him there and he is so excited about it. And he's a relatively young guy. So the good thing is that there are some young people who are involved in the art. So, for example, a guy from Granby, we have a young man from Maho, we have some from St. Joseph, from Portsmouth, Gerda, and a couple others. And then, of course, Newton. We have a few from Newton. So there are some areas that are strong, and what we want to do is to facilitate them through big foundation, but with the support of the private sector and government to ensure that we can have to sustain the tradition of the time.
Okay, tell us some more about the Sensory Training Program. I'm really excited about it. In terms of commencement, the one for the youth, in terms of commencement time, recruitment. You said you're going to work for the schools.
Yeah, we're talking to Belfast Estate Limited, and that is something they want to help us with. Yes, so we're going to go into the school. So originally, we wanted to do it in
community
areas, in communities, but that is so expensive because of course if you try to come in there and so what we decided to do is do an intensive workshop on weekends leading up to Carnival, at least for eight weeks leading up to Carnival, and they can come there, learn how to make their costume, and we help them with the finishing and whatnot.
This is great stuff, and I really hope that the whole process can be documented, and that's where we're coming now to the works of Alwyn, the documentation and publication of material from Alwyn. Where are we with that? What are the plans for that from the foundation?
Well, we have asked that the songs be recorded. All the songs that we're doing now be recorded. I have a typist working full time for the past 6 months in typing all the plays, all the songs, filing them away. And then we're going to look at publishing. Publishing the plays. I have the night box almost completed with the forward and everything. So we have to do that with all the plays. So the task is the editing. So because some of the Creole language you don't understand. And like all the Creole songs, we have it in his before the Creole language was really and the alphabet and standardized. So they're in that old thing. So maybe I'll send a few to you to
Of course,
put
no problem.
So Sonny Akpa has helped me with one or two of them. So if we can spread it out among the cake, then we can get it done fast.
Once you get it through Raymond, you can just distribute it around the cake members.
Yes, okay.
Who are presently working on a dictionary, a fully fledged new modern dictionary with some of the new words.
Yeah.
And I am also amazed that I can remember going to school. We used to have a book called The Great West Indians. I think we have enough material now and enough greats or enough heroes to have a subject, the Great Dominicans.
I started the outline of a list of 100 great
Dominicans.
It may not be 100, but we can choose. Because if you go onto the Cultural Division's website, they have very few.
Yes.
Great Dominicans.
Yes.
They have Eoli Blanc, they have Mr. Low Black, they have Mabel Sissy Cordero, they have Jacko without a picture, like those things. Even if you don't have a picture, put a picture.
Yes.
So that needs to be looked at carefully and a decision taken to highlight at least and keep adding every year. Keep adding.
Yeah. Because I'm concerned about how we are going to network the young people to educate the educational aspect of these things, Sobers, and I know you are that's one of your strengths. To get the young people, because I believe without the necessary knowledge, they may not have the appetite,
and we lose it.
Yeah.
Because so the idea, there are a couple of things here. One is that so the fully work of the foundation. What we want to do is to create templates, to create standards of how we do those things. So if we are successful in doing that, the idea is for it to be replicated across the country. So because as you rightly pointed out, we are not a country that is rich in terms of documenting the stuff that happened here, except people like Lennox, of course, has done human service in terms of the history of Dominica. Also, Dr. Irvin Andre, we have to give kudos to for the tremendous work he's doing in terms of the biographies that he's been doing.
Also, Gable also doing something.
Has done some stuff. So there's some work in that regard. But I think you are alluding to stuff that is quick to pick up and to comprehend, particularly in this fast-paced world. Short biographies.
Yes.
And that we can have in booklet forms. Sister Nats, we had done a project with Sister Nats with Bruce Sparks on from Hawaii.
Yes.
Many years ago. So I think what you're suggesting is a similar type.
A similar type. Because I mean, okay, for instance, okay, let's just look. We're talking Alwyn today. How many people would know that he was involved in sculpture? How many people would know that he was involved in costume building? I mean, we're talking about the younger generation, not those that were born within the 70s. Costume building. I'm involved in pageantry. How many people would know these things, but then if in case there's a fully fledged autobiography, data available in both forms. By the way, I'm talking about both hard copy and
our thinking is, and Anita and I, we have spent some time lately talking about that. So there are a few things that we want to do. One is we want to publish his literary works.
Yeah.
So poetry, prose, because he had a lot of stuff. So we're going to be cataloging this stuff, and then begin to edit what could be used for publication. That's one. The first phase. The second phase would be to look at doing a biographical sketch of him, either through a biographer or a series of biographers. So that's one. And then the second thing is, most importantly, is doing a documentary, a film documentary on Alvin Bully, the person.
I must ask you both. There have been a debate about how Alwyn should be remembered, but in your opinion, we'll take some special leave for that. You know, I mean, someone who has done so much for us, and there are different types of work involved. But someone who has connected us so much with our ancestors in all forms.
So the thing is, first of all, this is not about Alwyn. This is about how you honor your people, the greatness of the nation, of the people. And I think we need to come to grips with that, because we haven't done a particularly good job of honoring the patriots, the people who have done, the people on whose shoulders we stand.
Yeah.
And so whether it be Leblanc, or whether it be Eugenia Charles or Rosie Douglas as politicians, or the people, or Mike, or the great farmers like Uncle Hammond Trading and Violence Johnson from St. Joseph, and go on and on and on. People in Jordan and so on. There are some great people. There are people who have done greatness in this country that we should be honoring. So countries do things, basic things like naming schools, naming roads, naming highways, and so on. You also do things like regular lectures and those kind of things, celebrate them like what we're doing now. So we need to develop that culture of honoring our people. So maybe one of the things that is really lacking is maybe we need to have a commission, or a commission, I think that's the thing, on how we can set up a National Heroes Commission.
Even a National Heroes Day.
No, well, before we have a National Heroes Day, we have to establish first of all how it is going to be done, and then the criteria, and then name the thing. So my call here is that, and I'm sure that there are other people who would have made similar calls. Almost all the islands have national heroes. Yeah. So what we probably should do is start by probably have a commission, and the commission to establish how it should be done. St. Vincent have national heroes. Yeah. St. Lucia, Barbados, Antigua, Jamaica, and so on and so forth. I mean, Rihanna was just named a national hero for Barbados. And my namesake, Sir Garfield Sobers, is also a national hero.
Saviv is a national hero,
and so on. So I think we need the time has come when we should have a National Heroes Commission, and I give them the work to do. Let them go and do the work. So do all the background work and come up and we can debate it as a country.
Create a formula, criteria.
Yeah, and then come to the public with it and say, this is what we suggest and this is how we're going to do it. And let cabinet and the parliament.
But give the public
yes,
it's important
to give the input, to give the
recommend the name.
Well, the names will be the challenging thing. But before we talk about the names, establish how it is going to be done. Yeah. So that's one thing. But to come back to the thing about Alwyn, so clearly I think there are things that we can do. So the foundation is doing a bit, but we think the country needs to look at how we honor this amazing human being. And
what is the suggestion of my very good friend Sobers Esprit?
Concretely? No, but there are various things that can be done. I mean, I don't want to limit it to one thing. I mean, as I said, there are various things you can do. You can name a school, you can name an institution, you can name whatever it is. That's a normal thing. It would have been great to have had a museum, dedicated to his memory. I think we can still do that. Ideally, it would have been great to have had, the place where he was born and raised, but I don't think we have the access to that now. But we can establish a museum in his honor as well. And that museum could serve as a place for development of art and culture in Dominica.
Absolutely.
Particularly the areas where he was particularly strong in. And it would help to attract visitation to the island in that particular sphere. Just like so, and I say it's not about Alwyn alone. I mean, look, Jeff Joe has gone.
Yeah,
and
nothing.
We don't even remember him. we talked about doing a Jeff Joe Museum at one time.
On the street.
You know, and a street, a school,
School,
you know, St. Joseph should be named after Jeff Joe.
Yeah.
We have Ophelia, we have Gordon Henderson,
Chubby.
Chubby.
No, but then so many important people within the arts. But I want to hear from Anita. I know this word, but because I said that because I remember, I'm not sure if it was you or if it was Alwyn who mentioned his vision for the gardens.
What?
The same gardens where the waterfall, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But what would be
Alwyn,
what would make you satisfied? Would make you feel yes?
I don't believe naming a building after him is a good idea. In that buildings fall during hurricanes, and once they're broken down, it's no longer there unless it's going to be built back. Okay.
Or building among the many things.
Yes, among the many things. But what was Alwyn never thought of himself. Okay? Everything he did for his country. Alwyn loved Dominica. He was raised on King George V Street, and home was home. Okay? And he had this vision for the gardens. I mean, he was on a committee which was set up by the Prime Minister, headed by Rupert Serendo, and himself and Lennox and a whole gang from Ministry of Agriculture and so were involved with that. And they're looking at the gardens. And Alwyn sat down one day and looked at lighting for the gardens, redoing the building, by the playing field, set up a museum on the pavilion. Redo it, give it a good facade, set up a museum of cricketers in there so people can go there and see that. The waterfall was his thing. Okay, he said, can you imagine a boat coming into the harbor, or the boat is leaving at night, and you have this waterfall lit to music? Okay, I don't know how many of you all have been to New Orleans, but when you go there and you go to the various hotels and you see this lighting display with waterfalls, it is really fabulous. So you can imagine we could encourage the boats to stay there, have dinner out there. After dinner, you do a lighting display with Kada's music, fill in the rosso. Okay, but it has to be done at an early period, so you don't disturb people. So that could happen, say, at 8 o'clock after dinner, people on the boat stay and see it. And he had a restaurant design. He thought of everything, lighting, period lighting for the garden. And I know there have been plans to do all kinds of things in the gardens. Dominica had the best gardens, okay, in the region. Then came places like Trinidad and St. Vincent and Jamaica. We need to make the garden into a proper visiting spots for locals and for visitors. As children, that's where we played. This was our playground.
That's correct.
Okay? And you were safe in there because the people with the helpers who were bringing the children to the gardens made sure everybody was safe. And everything. So it needs to be looked at. And we cannot take our public spaces and put concrete buildings in there. It needs to be properly planned as a botanical gardens. And we've been fighting for that. I told them two things I would demonstrate for is if they don't fix Arawak, which I hear we're getting in December, and if they decide to put a building in gardens, Mokali, I think I'm not moving. Okay.
But I think additionally, though, what I think Alwyn would sweeten Alwyn's heart from where he is if we are able to invest more in the arts and culture. I think that'd be the greatest tribute,
and training
that we can do for him, and of course honor him in that regard. So for example, we could be a center of excellence. We could create a center of excellence in the arts here, right here in Dominica. And young people from the other OECS countries would come here and learn theater and dance and so on. And that could be something that we could be in his honor, in his memory, you know. So I think that would be one of the great testaments of you know of what we could do to honor him, to continue to honor him. So clearly to invest more in the arts, to focus a lot on education and training in the arts, but also how we can help to facilitate the development of our artists to become entrepreneurs in the future.
And as we wind down, three areas I would just want to pick you guys' brain is the Barracoon building, major library like we used to have, and the renaming of the streets from the colonial names that we know very little about, the King George the Fifths and the Great Marlboroughs and the Turkeys and the Virgins. I'm not sure if there is any written history about those people in connection with our Dominica history, but we continue to have those names, like a colonial enslavement tag on us, possibly like an anchor. I would just like to pick you guys' brains about we doing something very serious about these particular areas. The library, a major modern facility, the Barracoon building, and the renaming of streets in the capital city.
That building in the library there was the only building of its kind. Okay? What happens when you make a recommendation for the renewal? I know there is a problem, but they had the best people to get to refurbish, to redo the library like it was, would be the Cubans. Okay? They know how to construct those old buildings. They know how to renovate their old buildings. We could have asked them simply to do that first when they came to do the labor house.
Yeah.
Okay. You have, it's not only the Barracoon building, you know, but what about the one where planning was, you know,
Oh yeah,
what is
yeah.
happening
Yes,
today?
yes. Yeah.
These are two buildings, the only of their kind remaining in Dominica. That is, and it's built with a type of architecture that existed in its time. What we are doing right now is waiting for them to rot and say, well, it's rotten now, so we cannot do it. That is nonsense. We need to learn the importance of such a building and don't have the office of, how you call it?
Council, city council.
City council in there. Have it as a museum. Okay, you have it as a museum. You can do presentations. I don't know if you were around when Alwyn did the reunion, when he did the presentation of the landing of the slaves and bringing them. And
yes.
That was such a fabulous, fabulous night.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had everybody in tableau vivant doing the whole
Yeah,
thing.
tableau vivant. That is the word I was looking for.
And it was just amazing. So this place could be used as a site for tourists to go and visit and learn about the island of Dominica. The same thing with the old building up there. Set that up as a gallery. At Goodwill, the one at Goodwill where planning was. Yeah. Okay?
So,
how do we deal with that? We don't know, but are they listening to what we are saying?
So what, again, I think that's one of the things that's missing in Dominica in terms of how we deal with culture and heritage. We do not have institutions in Dominica that deal specifically with heritage. I think that's one of the problems that we face with. We do not have a national trust. Mm-hmm. We have a Department of Culture, and its role is very limited.
Yeah.
So we need to relook the institutional arrangement that deals with art and culture and the heritage aspect of our development. So fundamentally, it could be that a heritage trust could be entrusted with the task of looking at those kinds of development, or renovation and spearheading these efforts. But I think the issue is the greater Roseau project. because we had a lot of conversations in the 80s and the 90s and in the early 2000s about urban renewal.
Yeah.
There was the what's that called?
Urban Planning Division.
No, it was an NGO that was doing that was promoting heritage preservation.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember that. Yes,
It was back in the
Jackie
90s.
Dupini was
Yeah,
on
exactly.
it, and Alwyn was on
Juliet,
it, Juliet,
yes.
Shillingford,
Yes.
and Lennox Honey
So,
Church.
so what we
people
need
were
is
on it.
public-private
Yeah.
partnership in terms of how we
Yeah.
look at the city of Roseau. So one, heritage preservation.
Yeah.
Two, education
Yeah.
and culture.
Mhm.
And the one I want to advance, what we shouldn't talk about is that this is a country of music.
Absolutely.
We could make Roseau a city, a music city. You know, there's on the UNESCO, there's a music city, there's food, there's craft, IT or digital. We could make Roseau a music city as part of the UNESCO project. And what I would do is brand the city as a place for music. So it would be creating spaces, organizing how you deal with music education, things like that. And get support from UNESCO and other international bodies to, in fact, promote music and music development. Jamaica Kingston is a music city in the Caribbean. I think it's the only music city in the Caribbean. I think Port Spain is trying to look at this designation as well.
But guys, I really want to invite you again after the Christmas, because I want us to really because we have a longer carnival season.
Yeah.
I want us to delve into the Sense costume in its entirety and some of what we discussed here. But next weekend at the old Coca-Cola factory.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's called the factory.
The factory. And just before you leave, 8 p.m. And tickets are available at Bullseye
Yes.
for
It's still at the early bird price,
$75.
$75, and it will be moving to $90 as of Monday.
Just before I leave, the global heritage tourism market size was US $661.80 billion in 2023 and calculated at US $709.29 billion in 2024, which means that heritage tourism is a huge market, and we have everything, all the ingredients to make Dominica the heritage tourism site of maybe the world.
No, I don't know if it's the
No, but we have to think big.
It can be one of the big heritage.
Because remember, not forgetting, as part of that, we have the second largest boiling lake, which we are not.
I mean, the absolutes, I don't believe in these absolute things. I just feel like let's go and do what we're doing and be the best.
Yes.
Let's do our best in projecting ourselves, in elevating ourselves. That's what we need to do. So, because we have a lot of work to do, Wadix. If we're going to go into that market, we have some work to do. We have to do some renovation of sites. We have to educate tour guides. We have to do more interpretation and things like that. So there's a lot of work that we have to cover to get to that stage of being the best in the Caribbean in the world. But we can be a leader in the global heritage tourism market.
I really love the Roseau as a music city.
Oh, that, I mean, you know,
because I think we are possibly the only Caribbean island who created two genres.
Yes.
And we know if we and just before you guys leave, we have so much of a rich traditional.
Because what it does, does is if you create a music, if you have the designation of music city, it's not only that, it's a cultural the cultural impact and heritage impact. It's also the strong economic impact it will have. Our artists, our musicians, our composers, our promoters, and so many people who could benefit from that. So you can have small concert spaces, outdoor concerts, live music, festivals, training, showcases. So there's so much that we can get out of that. Yeah. So that is something I throw in.
And we have to move from the fact that tourism is just nature. No. People don't only want nature, they want heritage tourism as well. We need to introduce that. We need to, at carnival time.
It is one of the pillars of our tourism industry, the heritage aspect, because Dominica have 7 pillars, and heritage and culture is one of them.
So, guys, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Alex.
Let's set up a calendar of how we're going to deal with the rest of the educational process. Thank you, guys. The news major comes up next on the big station. Anita, Bully, and Sober Zespri on the big station. Thank you very much for listening. Until next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. So much, why there's so much that needs to be done. One at a
When you come in the job, when you come in the yes, sir. Sakai Malad, Prince Wadix, Prince Wadix, Prince Wadix, Prince Wadix. Papou a wete ba moun plen la yon manj a kite la vi. Apresye sa yo ka fe kon yo a pa mi nou jodi. La te mouve vale pie non nou ka konstipe moun ebi. Pour nous connaître, pour meilleur fait pour nous tout ça bénéfice. For only wonders you done for us all, spreading the culture all over.